obsession of knowing everything about the position and how to do things and how to convey those to his teammates. Peyton was obviously Tom Brady's primary rival in New England for years. So, Shannon, was this a shot at Tom Brady?
I don't believe it was a shot, but I can understand and see how people would take it and perceive it as being a shot because Coach Belichick coached Tom Brady for 20 years. And here you are heaping the utmost praise and adulation on someone that you really never coached, but you coached against. Skip, I think for me is that you said you would like to give somebody some truth serum and put them in the hot seat or a lie detector test. If you were to ask Coach Belichick deep down, I believe he believes Peyton Manning is a better quarterback than Tom Brady.
I think that's obvious right here.
I believe he does.
Yep.
Because, Skip, he spent 17 seasons knowing that if I can't beat this guy, I can't get to my ultimate destination, AFC Championship game, or if it's in the AFC Championship game, if I can't beat him, I can't get to the Super Bowl. And this is what all you need to know, what Coach Belichick thinks about Peyton Manning. Mm-hmm. He had the ball 4th and 2 on his own 28-yard line with a lead. Instead of punting the football, he went for it. That's the equivalent of Buck Showalter walking Barry Bonds with the bases loaded.
I wouldn't go that far.
Skip.
Come on.
Pitch to him.
He tried to win the game.
Belichick tried to win the game. He didn't want Peyton to get the ball because he knew what Peyton could do. He ever did that?
I liked it. I said the next day, I liked him going for it.
They ever did that with Tom Brady? Anybody ever went for it on 4th and 2 on their own 29-yard line against Tom Brady? Yeah, a simple yes or a simple no. No. I answered for you, no. Skip, I think the thing is that, and it's hard to say right now, that Tom wouldn't do what Peyton's doing because Peyton will reach out and talk to other quarterbacks, and I think it's a little hard for Tom to do that now while he's currently playing. That's not to say that once he's out of the league, he won't be the equivalent, the ambassador that Peyton is. That's not to say that he won't. That's not to say that he will. Fitz, I know Fitz. Got to know Peyton a lot better because once he came to Denver, so I know him, and I know Fitz. Talk to Fitz. He is, Skip. He's not to say Tom isn't class personified.
I'm with you on that. All that Belichick said about Larry Fitzgerald, bingo.
And maybe, Skip, maybe Peyton and Fitz are more approachable than Tom, or people feel that they can approach Peyton and Fitz more than they can approach Tom.
I'll give you that.
Maybe that has something to do with it. But, Skip, remember, I always told you, Skip, you have to be careful when you play with other great players or you coach a great player and you give praise to someone else. People will take it as you're slighting the guy that you played with or that you coached. So you have to be careful. So I can see how people would think that Coach Belichick is, while giving praise to Larry Fitzgerald and Peyton Manning, he's slighting the guy that helped him win 6 Super Bowls.
I'm sorry, but Bill Belichick is the shrewdest of operators. He does nothing without premeditation. He looks before he leaps, and he leaped all over Tom Brady with this one. This was a pointed, premeditated, blatant shot at the quarterback he benefited from for 19, 20 years. This was calculated disrespect of Tom Brady. It was calculated discrediting of Tom Brady because I'm going to reread the quotes about Larry. He said he's a very dedicated football player. He works extremely hard. He's very knowledgeable in all phases. And then he likens him to Peyton, that Peyton was to quarterbacks what Larry was to receivers in terms of the total obsession of knowing everything about the position and how to do things and how to convey those to his teammates.
Right.
For me, Tom Brady is beyond even Peyton in all those categories. And Bill knows that better than anybody because he lived with him and he watched him work. He watched his obsession. He watched him go home at night and just pour over tape and call Josh McDaniels basically in the middle of the night. How about this? How about that? You can't tell me that Peyton was more obsessed with winning football games or playing quarterback than Tom Brady.
I believe he's equal too because, Skip, you have to understand now, everything that they did walkthroughs, that was Peyton. The game plan that they put in was Peyton.
It. So I'll give you 50-50. I don't even know how to quantify the obsession. But those two guys are neck and neck.
Yeah.
So if you're Bill Belichick and you coached Tom Brady, you had the honor of playing with Tom Brady, benefiting from Tom Brady for all those years, at least you'd give him a little nod, like a 1A nod. Tom was great too.
Well,
right?
how about this? Say, Larry has that obsession and dedication like Tom and Peyton. Because if you leave Tom out that you coach for 20 years...
It's glaring. Glaring. It just screams at you, what about Tom?
Right, and people would take it as a slight, Skip. I guess who took it as a slight? I know who did take it as a slight. The guy down in Tampa currently.
I'm sure he did. He will never admit it publicly, but he took it as a private slight.
Yes.
Okay, just for the edification of our younger viewers, just to put this in some perspective, Peyton Manning finished his career with a playoff record of 14-13. 14-13.
Right.
Peyton Manning, as an Indianapolis Colt, lost 7 times in the first playoff game that he played.
Right.
One of those times, he had the #1 seed and lost a home first playoff game. And twice more as the #2 seed, he lost a home first round for them, first playoff game of the playoffs, right? So that's 7 times they underachieved. And if you look at Peyton's Super Bowl record, he did beat Rex Grossman in one of them in the rain in Miami. You remember that?
I do.
He also lost to the Legion of Boom 43-8. To 8? Brady never had one of those. And he did play the Legion of Boom, and he was down 24-14 in the fourth quarter and came back, as you know, with 124 yards passing just in the fourth quarter and 2 touchdowns to overcome them.
Right.
Controversial ending, I give you that. But Brady did his part to win that game.
Right.
And then Peyton finished his career for your Denver Broncos against Cam Newton, the MVP in the Super Bowl. And Peyton had a QBR in that game of 9 on a scale of 0 to 100 because he got sacked 5 times. He threw for a grand total of 141 yards, and it did not matter because Von Miller just basically tore Cam apart that day, and Cam was even worse than Peyton was in that game, right? So they won 24-10, and he can go out with 2 rings and 1 Super Bowl loss. He won 2 out of 3, and obviously...
No, he lost 2. He lost to Saints.
Oh, I forgot he lost to the Saints. Oh, so he's 2-2. I've blanked that one out. He played pretty well, but he did throw an interception that lost the game at the end. Okay, that's right, 2-2. So Tom obviously is 6-3 so far in the Super Bowl. He'd like to have another 1 or 2 in his future, but he's at this point 6-3 in the Super Bowl. And remember, in his losses, he had what looked like the game-winning drive against Eli with 2 minutes left. He threw a touchdown pass to Randy Moss to put them ahead 14-10, and then you know what happened the rest of the way to Belichick's defense. And then, obviously, there was the Wes Welker drop. I thought it was not the best pass Tom has ever thrown, but it cost them that game that they narrowly lost 21-17 to Eli in the second Eli Super Bowl. And then Tom throws for a record 505 yards in any playoff game ever against the Eagles and loses 41-33. Throws a Hail Mary to Gronk and hits him in the hands in the end zone to win the game, or at least tie the game at that point.
With a 2-point conversion.
And he did not hold on.
Skip, I think the thing is also is that when Peyton lose, they's like, well, Peyton, you're calling all the plays. This is your offense. Because, see, they gave Peyton more credit for wins and more blame for losses than they gave Tom. Because this was Peyton doing all this stuff at the line, which we never see Brady do. Brady obviously checks, but Peyton is this magician at the line of scrimmage. And he's orchestrating everything. And I think that's why people give Peyton so much more credit, because so much was more on his plate. Now, that's not to say that Brady was not as good or this or that, but I think for Coach Belichick, he's looking at it like, if I'd have had Peyton with his knowledge and what he did, there's no question in my mind, I wouldn't have lost any of these Super Bowls.
So you think Peyton would have won 9 for 9
I'm saying that's what Coach Belichick believes. No. Just like I don't believe Jordan would have been 8-0. But
he would have been.
We'll never know.
That's a cake.
We'll never know.
That's easy.
All I know is what the GOAT said. The GOAT coach said.
Yeah.
He spoke now. He's spoken. Now let's not, try to refute what the GOAT said.
The GOAT coach?
Yes!
Is only the GOAT coach in your mind because of Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr.
Well, over the last 3 weeks, Thomas Edward Patrick Jameis Winston Brady Jr. has thrown a bunch of interceptions.
So you think he's Are you saying Jameis is better than Tom Brady?
There you go.
That's what you seem to be indicating.
I'm indicating that he looks a lot like Jameis throwing them interceptions, doesn't
Really?
he? Yeah. You remember against New Orleans? How many throw against New Orleans?
How many did Jameis throw last year? How about 30 plus 5 lost fumbles?
Well,